want to go to Mike Baker now, former CIA operative. We only have a few minutes before we lose him remotely. Mike, there have been a lot of conversations that have sprung up here in the U.S. In reaction to what we saw this week in Paris. There have been vocal critics, some Republican senators come to mind, Graham and Ayotte, who specifically stood up and said this is one of their great concerns about closing Guantanamo Bay, about losing the ability to interrogate suspects, treating them more as criminal defendants rather than enemy combatants. And they worry that there may be some lost intelligence by changing that policy. What's your reaction?
Well, yeah, over the years, so the recent years anyway, we've done a couple of things. We've stepped up the drone campaign, and don't get me wrong, drones are a very good tool. But it's almost as if the administration, the current White House, decided that, look, it was all too up close and personal, it was all just too messy to have to deal with detainees. So, yeah, and of course he ran on a campaign to close Guantanamo. But the idea being, you know, rather than deal with the hard work of picking people up off the battlefield, and then what do you do with them? Now we got to hold them. That means maybe we got to keep Guantanamo open. The idea was, let's not do that. Let's focus on other things. Let's ramp up the drone program. And when you do that, I don't want to make it too simplistic, but oftentimes you lose the ability, when that's the mindset, to pick people up and essentially stuff the pipeline with potential new intelligence. And yes, we all have angst, and we went through this ridiculous self-flagellation over the Feinstein report, which was inane. But at the same time, the reality is, if you're not getting human sources of intelligence, whether they're off the battlefield or whether you're recruiting them, you're going to be in a world of hurt. It's going to turn into a big goat rope at some point. So that is one issue. The other thing I would worry about, frankly, is if you're in the world of counterterrorism right now, what are you doing? You're not that excited and feeling good over the marches in Paris and around France. You're busy chasing down the thousands and thousands and thousands of bits of pieces of information coming in from all over the world. You're trying to find some way to prevent, minimize, and disrupt the next attack, which is being planned, even as we're all feeling good about ourselves about what's going on in France. And so I worry that tomorrow morning comes and we're just going to move on. Look, Boko Haram has been slaughtering hundreds, possibly a couple thousand in the northeast of that country recently. And we've got problems everywhere with Muslim extremists. And yet we tend to always have this same dialogue at the end of a really tragic attack like what we had in Paris. Everybody comes together, we talk about it, we say we got to have a national dialogue, we all have to work together, and then we get sidetracked.
And very quickly, because we are about to lose you, Mike, do you think it changes U.S. policy at all? Or do we continue what is happening around the clock, as you said, behind the scenes? Men and women out there risking their lives to make sure the rest of us are safe, regardless of we know anything about what they're doing.
All right. Well, that will continue. The hard work that's off the radar screen that people don't see. The reason why we haven't had another attack in the U.S. It's not luck. It's hard work by all those people in that business. That will continue. The problem that we've been facing recently is that the DOJ and others have been busy trying to dismantle parts of the apparatus that we've built to try to, efficiently conduct the war on terror. That, I think, is going to have to be looked at very hard by the new Congress. But, yeah, I think that what we need to see is we need to see stronger leadership from the White House right now. I'm surprised the president wasn't over there, frankly, but it's hard to do a quick left turn and adjust the president's schedule. That's the reality of it. But I think the U.S., France, and others, rather than saying we have to work together, we have to figure out a way to strong-arm, to use whatever leverage we've got left in the Middle East, to strong-arm the Muslim leaders into developing and maintaining a consistent, aggressive battle against the extremist community within their own broader community.
All right, Mike, former CIA operative Mike Baker with us. Thank you so much for giving us your time. We're